Meaning, and do we know the difference between things that are going to make you feel good in the moment versus things that are really going to fix things? And if so, what things are you actually fixing? What are we really, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's a matter of us getting used to politics just being a big circus. Because that's kind of what American politics is. It doesn't really amount to much in terms of positive outcomes, right? You don't really see Black people benefiting as a community from one political party over another. Now you can see losses. The Democrats did support more Black jobs for sure, but even when Democrats were in power, you didn't see Black wealth going up. You saw during the pandemic, Black people were the first ones to die, largely because of preventable health issues. And there's something about wanting to improve the Black community that makes people angry. There's something about wanting to provide solutions that people don't like. There's something about that. There's something about saying, okay, I get it that you're mad about the Republicans, but can we please raise the reading levels of these kids in this school? And people just kind of don't want that. I think sometimes we don't want to do the boring work. The boring work is, um, let's go build some businesses. The boring work is, let's make sure that the kids can read. The boring work is, how do we make a Black man healthier? The boring work is, how do we make sure that everybody gets therapy so we're not going off on each other, cussing each other out and going crazy, right? And I think that's what I would love to see. I didn't, I'm not offended by Stephen A's words because Stephen A has a right to say what he wants to say. And I think Jasmine Crockett should understand if you go into the arena and you start slinging stuff and saying things, like somebody's going to sling something back. And again, it ain't about protecting Black women because you don't protect Black women who are Republicans, you protect Black women who are Democrats. So this is more of a Democratic Party thing than it is a Black white thing. And what the Democrats do that is so racist, and the Republicans kind of do it in their own way, is they will make race connect to Blackness. Like they'll just literally, that whole Joe Biden, if you won't vote for me, then you ain't Black. And they'll say, okay, these are the racist white people. You can only say, pay attention now, if you notice, the only time like a Roland Martin will talk about white people in a certain way is when he's talking about white Republicans. He cannot talk about the racism in his own party. You do not hear him talk about that because those are his masters. Those people will beat it, will spank his ass. If you remember, the New York City mayor, Eric Adams, he is an interesting guy. I wish I could talk to him because he's one of the few politicians I'd love to just get to know because I remember he did something that was really interesting. He jumped ship to some extent. He told the Democrats, "Screw you! Like this, what you're asking me to do makes no sense." If you remember, they started putting all those migrants in New York, and he couldn't afford to pay for all of them. He said, "We're hurting the people of the city of New York by paying for all these people that just got here. These people don't even live here, and you're forcing me to spend over $1 billion taking care of them. You need to send a check for that." And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't respond, right? So he said, "Screw this, I'm not doing." So he started changing the policies. And what did they do? Next thing they did was they indicted him. They indicted him. And so the Democratic Party, to some extent, is it's not just a plantation. It's a place where they sort of manage Black people. And if you step out of line, if you start saying, "Well, this don't make sense. I don't want to do this anymore," then you'll get spanked in public. In fact, when I even think about even the indictment of Kwame Kilpatrick in Detroit, I'm not saying Kwame was innocent at all. I do know Kwame, but I will say that politics is so complicated that in many cases, when you see a Black person get indicted, in many cases there's a political motivation.